So today we or mainly Caroline actually, is going to talk about pipe style management. So it's me, Thomas, and Caroline here today. And I just want to start with a slide about versions and so. So the features we are going to show today, most of them are available from version 2025.1, 24.3, 23.13, and 22.23. So we in our webinars, we noticed that sometimes people don't understand really that we actually do support multiple versions back. So as you see here, right now we are actually supporting 4 versions with the same functionality. So all these versions share functionality, and we also very newly released 2025.2, 24.12, 23.22, and 22.32. They have in common the last 2 there. That's the pattern. So they are more or less identical in features. And we do recommend you to update to these ones due to coming, or there is a new licensing system within the Naviate that's been added to those, and you should update during this year at least to this version. We might run into interruptions with the current version up here, 25.1 to 22.23. So highly recommended update to these latest versions. For you that might be on earlier versions, like 2019 to 2021, those are run on our old Flex LM licensing. And in this case, you must update by the license file by April 2025. And it's going to last to end of 26 or 27. I don't remember right now, but this is crucial. So if you're on these versions, talk to your manager or an administrator that you really do update.
So what we're going to talk about today is the pipe style management tools. And these are, as Thomas said, pretty new. They've been around for a little bit, but we're going to show them how they work. And I actually prepared just a quick slide just to show you what we're going to go through. So we have 3 main functionalities that we're going to go through, and then export import is sometimes the same, and export import is sometimes the 2 different functionalities. So we're going to talk about copy parts. Now, copy parts is used to copy parts between part lists. So if you have, for instance, a valve in one list and you want to copy that with the settings, then you can use copy parts to move that over or copy it over to a new parts list. We're going to talk about export styles, and that is for pipe and structure styles. So we can export styles out to Excel, and then we can do edits in there, or we can do a copy, and then we can import the styles back. And the reason why we want to do this in Excel is because there's a lot of different settings inside the styles. So it's easier to handle this in Excel, where we can do search and replace, for instance, and automatically fill different things. And then the final part will be export and import network parts list. And this is for editing parts lists, where you want to add perhaps the new styles that I'm going to show you. We can change settings inside different pipes and different sizes and different parts. And we can also copy the parts list if you want to. We can rename stuff. So you'll see how it works. And then we can import it back to the drawing. So these are the functionalities, the main functionalities. And then at the end, I'm going to show you as well our layer import, just to sort of complete it. The funny thing is that even though we export styles and we copy things, if we have new layers, I'm going to show you that too, but the new layers will be created as we copy them back in. So, but that's what we're going to go through today. So I'm just going to move this one over to my other side, and I'm going to see if I can find my Nope. There. I had a list of what I was going to do. So for my example right now, I have the standard Civil 3D metric template. So that's what I'm going to use for starting off. So inside this metric template, and I'm actually going to start by just saving this. So I'm going to save a copy just so I made sure that I can come back to it. So I'm going to start by saving this one. And inside this one, we have parts lists. So I have a sanitary sewer and I have a storm sewer. Now, these contain few different things, but they're not very built out. So for the pipes for sanitary, we have PVC and we have a couple of structures. For the storm sewer, we have concrete pipes and we have a lot of structures. So they contain sort of different things, which makes sense. But for my work that I'm going to do, and these functionalities that we're looking at right now, they could be used for your project that you're using. They're mostly intended for sort of creating templates to create things in bulk. But of course, you can use them sort of individually if you need to do changes that need to be made in multiple places. So I'm going to show you sort of an example of how these work together. So we have concrete pipe inside my sewer and we have PVC pipes inside my sanitary. So I want to have a combination of these two. So I'm going to start just by creating a copy of my parts list. So I'm going to create a copy that I'm going to call my parts list. And this is just standard Civil 3D. And now I have my pipes and inside my parts list. So now I want to copy, and that's when we come to the first part. So now we're on the Naviate Pipe tab. And in our Manage, we did quite a lot of reorganization, both on our Pipe tab, on our Landscape tab. And these functionalities that we're looking at right now, they are under the Manage tab. So we're going to start by copy parts. So copy parts copies between parts list. So I'm going to copy from my storm. I'm going to copy pipes, and I'm going to copy my concrete pipes, and I'm going to copy them to my parts list. So that's the order that we're going to do. I'm going to hit copy, and then it's going to work for a little bit. Depending on how many pipes you have, this might take a little bit. So I would recommend to sort of do this when you don't have a lot of other files open, so you just relax and make sure that it has enough time to complete what it's going to do. Now, depending on what you are going to copy, you might get a message saying it will copy incompletely. And it's going to report on the command line why it couldn't copy it. So if I just do OK right now, I'm actually going to copy my structures first, and then we can check what we get on the command line. So I'm going to switch over to structures. And here I see all the structures inside here. I'm just going to copy my rectangular ones. So those are the ones that I want into my parts list. So same thing here, selecting my structures, what I want to copy. You can, of course, go down and just say individual if you have multiple dimensions. You can just copy those as well. Okay, copy, and it's going to tell me the same thing. Copied incompletely, please check the command line. Now, if I take a look at the command line, I'm going to close this one, we can see that what was not copied, or rather, it was copied, but context material type cannot be set to reinforce concrete. That's the report. So it's copying the structures and the pipes, but it can't set the material. That's what's going to report back. And same thing really with the structures. Material type cannot be set to reinforce concrete. The reason for this is since I'm in a Swedish adapted Civil 3D, I don't have reinforced concrete as my materials. I have materials in Swedish. So that is why it's telling me it's not going to work. But we can fix that later. So if I go into my parts list, we can see now that I have PVC and I have concrete. So now I have my pipes and I have my PVC that I had from the start. Same thing with structures, and I have all my rectangular ones. So when we edit things inside here, some things are easy to edit because you can change them, all of them, in one go. So for instance, render material, if I'm going to have the same render material as for all of them, it's pretty easy to just select the first one here and then just add a render material. Right now, I'm just going to add by block. Now, the reason why I do this is because the next functionality needs to have a render material. Otherwise it's going to fail. So I need to add this. We can probably make a fix for that. But so I can add my render material. So if we come back to my pipes here, same thing really. There's no render material, but in this case, if I know it's going to be the same render material, I can just add it. So I can say by layer, and it's going to be all of them. But the problem here is, for one, the pay items. Pay items are not consistent. They will be unique for each dimension. So I need to go in one by one and select my pay item. And also, as we said with materials, the material I need to change inside every dimension. So it's also a lot of clicks to make sure that I can change the material. So it takes a lot of time to make changes inside the parts list, and that's why we do these functionalities. So now I have my render material set there, so now I can continue with what I'm going to do next. But before I'm going to do that, I'm going to move over to my copy styles. Because when I change my parts list, when I use my functionality for importing, exporting parts list, I want to be able to set the styles that I want to use. So then I need to have my copy of my styles first. And the styles that I have pipe styles and I have structure styles. So I'm actually going to do a copy of these, and I'm going to change a couple of layer settings. So exporting styles, this is the one where export and import is the same functionality. So export styles is also under Manage tab. In the dialog, I export my pipe styles and structure styles one at a time. So I'm going to select the styles that I want to export, and I'm going to set a name here, and I'm going to say this will be Tiger's style export. And I'm going to put my pipe styles on my sheet 1. And then I'm going to export them. And it's moving them out. And next time, start the same command. Going to take my structure styles. Going to select my styles that I want to export, and these will be on sheet 2. So it's remembering the Excel file that I did right there. Exporting, and it's out to Excel. So now I have my Excel file. Come on. Now is the problem, where did I export it? Luckily, it's remembering so there we have Tiger's style export. Why is it not? Of course, it's thinking. So that's the reason why it's not showing up my Excel file. Of course, this one has worked perfectly the last couple of times, but now it's not giving me the parse export. So let's try this one again. Let's just say where I'm going to put it. Style export. It is there. Yeah, exactly. But it's not showing up in my dialog. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's paused. That's why. Okay. I'm going to open it from here. Should be the same thing. So since it is there. So if I just right click this one and I'm going to open, as is an Excel file, it's going to open with its code. Here we go. So it's exporting everything to Excel. And what is important to know is that each style consists of multiple rows. So you'll see the name for the style here. And these are all the different layers that we're using in plan, in model, in profile, in section. So all of these are connected to one style. So I have my double line sanitary and I have my double line storm, single line sanitary, and so on. So depending on what you're going to change, you need to make sure that you change the whole thing. So I'm going to start by just doing some search and replace. And of course, my Excel is in Swedish as well. So but luckily for Excel, it looks the same. So it's very similar. It's just the text that are not. So if I, for instance, say that everything CSSVR should be sanitary instead. I'm going to change it for my entire book because, as I told you, I have my pipes on 1 and I have my structures on 2. So if I do it in my entire Excel file, I can do replace all, and it's going to replace in both pages. That I'm going to do there. And I'm just going to do storm, and that's going to be storm. And then replace everything. So easy like that. I can also very quickly see that I've missed something. Something does not have, I have 2 lines here that don't have any layer. So it's a pretty nice way of being able to just check, do I have everything? Do I have a layer on all my different objects, or am I missing something? So I can add that in here. So that's also something that you can sort of take a look at. You can, of course, add colors and line types as well if you want to. Now, we can also use this to copy slides. So I want to keep the old ones, but I want to make sure that I create a new one. So we have original name here. That's my original name. And then I can do a new name here. So I can say that my new one should be wide sanitary. So if you need to have a new one or we can rename as well, but in this case, I'm just going to copy it. So wide sanitary and wide storm. So I'm going to do it like that. So I'm going to create a copy of these ones. I'm going to save this one, close it out, and then I'm just going to do cancel in there. This file. So if I now want to import my styles, it's the same functionality. I go to the Import tab, and I want to copy original. So it's remembering the file, and then I'm going to do Import styles. It's importing, and now I get, of course I don't get that. I know why. Resume syncing. I thought it was smart in telling my OneDrive not to sync, just to be able to keep the use as little bandwidth as possible, but apparently OneDrive really needs to sync, otherwise nothing works. So there we go. Style export. Let's just make sure that it looks as it should be. So I'm going to open this one, and we're going to take a look at it and see if my changes were saved. Yes, they were. Nice. So now it works. So let's come back here. Export styles, import, copy original. We're going to go back out just to make sure. Style export, 1422, yes. And then I'm going to import my pipes. My sheet 1 was my pipes, import it, and now I have my white sanitary. So now it's done a copy of it, and also done a copy of the layers. The layers that it's creating has the same color, same line type. So it's copying the layer, making sure that I get the new name inside here. So now I have my styles inside that I want to do. So I'm going to save this one. So now we come back to my pipe, my parts list. So now I have my parts list, and I want to do changes in this. So to export parts list, we have export network parts list. And I'm going to, this one I'm going to overwrite my Tiger's parts export. I want to replace it. Yes, I want to do it. And this one also opens the parts list when it's been exported. And it's the same thing here, really, in that every dimension has multiple rows. So all of these rows are connected to one dimension. The reason why we get multiple rows is because we have all these data. So all the different values that we have get one row each. So again, if you're going to change something, remember you need to change it in multiple places. So you know what to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate filtering so that I can see that, okay, I just want to care about my parts list. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove my parts list so I just see everything else. And then I'm going to remove all this, because when we read this one back in, I'm going to remove this one, and for some reason the first time never works, so I need to do it a second time, and then I can remove them. Because when I read this back in, I just want to read back in my parts list. It's all about time. So I'm just going to remove all the other ones so I only see my parts list. Of course, I could copy it over to a new file if I want to as well. We talked about the material being incorrectly. So I can go in here and say, okay, my context, not my context, my description. There we go. I just want to take a look at the material rows. If I search like this, then I'm going to see the material row for all the different dimensions. And I can see that they are all undefined material. And in this case, this is a material that is a list. So I actually get the possible lists, possible materials that I can use to the right. So in this case, I can say that, well, this should be concrete. Concrete in Swedish is betong. And I can just fill this in and say that these should all be concrete. Yep. All the way down to my PVC. My PVC already has a material, so I don't need to change that. But come on. Like I said, if you like Excel, you will like this, but I like it sometimes. Sometimes Excel has its own. But now I get my concrete there. And then I can come back and add everything, and now I can see all my different things here. For the style, it's pretty easy. My double line storm, I will call it wide storm, and then I will just drag it down. Make sure I fill it in on all places. So some things are pretty easy to change, and some things are not. So I'm just gonna scroll this one down, all the way down. Of course, I could do search and replace instead. Might have been easier in this case because it's a long way down, apparently. Come on. Yeah. Search and replace is the way to go. Always search and replace. There we go. So we can do stuff like that as well. One thing that I wanted to point out is pay item. Now, pay item is unique for them all. So, and in my case, the pay item that I want to use is called conc 100. And it's the same thing here. I need this to be consistent for all the rows here that are 100. And you can probably set this up. I'm sure you can set this up that it should always copy and shouldn't continue the series. And then it should be 150. There. So what I'm thinking, and this is, I didn't have time to prepare this, but what you should be able to do is say that everything here should be conc, and then it should find the 3 values from this side. And it should add it in. It shouldn't be that difficult to find that kind of formula, if I remember that I've done it before. So then this should be easy as repeating the formula, and you get the pay item in the whole thing. So, but for me, I'm just going to do a couple. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm going to do it like that, and then I'm going to change. So it doesn't take that long. It's easier than doing it inside the program. But of course, the more you like Excel, the better you can do this. So that one should be 225. And then you continue like that. And always copy. So you can fill this in as well, if you want to. So you can basically change anything in here. Be a little bit careful if it's changes that are working, especially when we go into changing things in the information part, in the data part. Make sure that you get the stuff here that works. So have tested it out before, and then you know how you're going to repeat everything, because it's easy to make a change in here that doesn't work. Same thing for structures. You have them on the second part, and here you also have, and I'm just gonna remove. Same thing really. Just gonna make sure that I don't have anything but my parts list. So I'm gonna remove all of these. I've learned that if you do it like this, where you remove rows, it's gonna move everything up. If you just do delete, it's just gonna empty the rows. So there is a difference where you do stuff like that. So same thing in here with the material as such. So when you're done, save the file, close it down, and then import network parts list. And this is the part that takes time. So if you do a lot of changes, if you have multiple parts list, then let this one take its time as need. And if you're going to do smaller changes like I did right now, then make sure that you only have the parts list that you need. Otherwise, it's going to recreate everything. So even if it doesn't sense that it's changed anything, it's going to repeat and going to import everything. So I've done this for the Swedish templates, and it takes a lot of time. It works, it's going to survive, but it takes a lot of time. So now inside my parts list, we can see that my concrete pipes have pay item. We can see that my concrete pipes also have concrete as their material. And for my structures, I didn't really change anything. So it was only the pipes that I did. So it's going to update everything inside your drawing. And of course, you could add more stuff than I did right now, but it's the same functionality that we're going to use. So those were the functionalities that we wanted to show you. And like we said, it's mainly about sort of creating templates, making larger changes, and making sure that you can do them efficiently inside Excel, and it's easy to sort of make sure that you get everything correctly at the first go. So this is specific for our pipes. I wanted to show you two more things. First thing is I'm going to open a Naviate template. So
may I ask a question, Caroline? Yeah, or I'm just going to clarify. We had the question someone was trying to follow here and noticed that the ribbon did not look as on Caroline's screen as it did for them. And yes, we did change the appearance or the layout of especially Naviate Pipe and Landscape quite a bit. So if you are on Naviate 24.3, you should find import styles. I believe it was somewhere to the right. I don't have it available now, but somewhere to the right, I think. We kept adding things to the right, and suddenly we realized we had too many features, so we restructured. So hopefully you will find the things in there. But as we said, please update to the latest version. Thanks, Caroline.
yes, good. Yes, as we said, we did a lot of changes. I can just show you the landscape one where we did even more changes. So we have sort of tried to. So, and I will admit it's taken me a while to sort of get used to finding things, but now it feels like it is, the reason for it was to make sure that it's more logical, but it always takes time with changes. So what I want to show you for the Swedish part, for our Swedish audience, we added some things inside the parts list. Since we're talking about parts lists, we added, not in a day. Right now, actually, I'm working on Violite pipe, so those are gonna come. But what we added inside our water is SSAB, steel pipes, and Gustavsberg, and also Tubman. So these four are new to the versions that we have as well. So just so you know that we do some updates for our parts lists as well, but they are part of the Swedish part of Naviate. Could be interesting to know as well. So final thing, if you want to do changes that are only for the layers, so we actually have a couple of things where we can only change our layers. We do have a functionality for that. So I'm just going to open a standard ACAD ISO. It basically doesn't contain anything. So I'm just going to import a layer list. We've shown this one before. This one is not a new functionality, but sometimes even the older functionalities that we feel like they've been around for a while and everyone knows them, not always the case. So we try to make sure that we go a little bit wider when we talk about these things. So if you just take a look at the layer list, right now this is a layer list that doesn't contain anything. So the functionality for importing layers is on Naviate and then import layers. And I have an example here where my pipes are in clear text. So you can do an Excel file like this. This is a CSV in particular, but you can do CSV files in Excel and then just save them as CSV, and then you will get a file like this. So what it's actually containing is the layer name, the color, the line type, line weight, and then description. So these are the fields that we can import. So if we create an Excel file like this, even though I've opened it in Notepad right now, then we can import it in. So if you need to create a new layer list, then we can import it in if you do it in Excel. So the example here, just going to show you how it looks. So I'm going to import that one. It has a couple of options. What kind of list delimiter? So depending on which area in the world you have, if you have a comma or semicolon is the usual one, we can use any type of list delimiter. Which one is the description column, if you have multiple columns. And then if you have a first row that we just want to skip, and then it's just importing all the layers. And again, depending on how many layers, it might take a little bit of time. In this case, I had 700 layers, so it doesn't take that much time. But then it'll just create everything. And this can also be useful if you need to change colors. it could be easier to be in Excel and sort of copy paste and do stuff like that. So it might just be easier to update layers there as well. What we also can do with layers is we can have multiple sort of layer systems. So in this case, I have a name over here that's a code, and I also have a clear text name over here where I have a hashtag first. So I can actually have two different layer lists, and I can switch between them. So if I use the command called rename layers, I can say that I want to rename everything, so that's the star. And I want to rename everything from a specific character, and that character is the hashtag. And then it's just going to take everything after the hashtag. And then it's switching between them. Because it might be easier to work with clear text layers and then have the coding in the description. And the good thing about this when it comes to my pipes is that the pipe style will respect this. So the pipe style will just use the one that's correct. So you don't need to worry about that when it comes to the layer system. So that's only for layers. I mean, this could be combined with the functionalities that we have from the start, or it can just be another way of managing your layers. Good.
One adding here. We also have the export layers. That one, but I think it came in 24:3 as well. Yeah, so you can export the file that Caroline was editing by clicking there. Yeah. Thanks, very good, Caroline, and thanks for joining. As we said, we like having your reactions and reflections, and if you have any suggestions for either features or maybe also webinars, suggestions for Naviate webinars that we should have, just let us know. So thank you, and have a good time until next time. Cheers.